students, how are you all? I'm sure you all are fine and taking good care of yourself. So children, let's begin with our next chapter, which is Kings and Kingdoms. Points to study: the emergence of new dynasties, administration, social and economic changes, cultural developments, contact with Southeast Asia born out of a clash of two religions, Hindu society as seen by a foreign traveler, case study, the Chola kingdom, a closer look. Introduction: the period between AD 750 and AD 1200 is referred to as an early medieval period of Indian history. It was earlier treated by historians as a dark phase. It was so because during this time the whole country was divided into numerous regional states which were busy in fighting with each other. But recent studies have indicated that though politically divided, India witnessed a growth of new and rich cultural activities in the field of art, literature and language. In fact, some best specimens of temple architecture and Indian literature belong to this period. Thus far from being dark, it may be treated as a bright and vibrant phase of Indian history. तो बच्चों, medieval history को dark फेज भी कहा जाता है, ठीक है, क्योंकि इस टाइम पे जो किंग्स वगैरह हुआ करते थे वो आपस में एक दूसरे से लड़ा करते थे, बहुत खून खराबा वगैरह हुआ करता था। लेकिन इसे हम ब्राइट फेज के रूप में भी देख सकते हैं क्योंकि हमें उस ज़माने के जो लिटरेचर है, आर्ट है, लैंग्वेज है, उसमें हमें काफ़ी इम्प्रूवमेंट जो है वो देखने को मिलती है और उससे हमें काफ़ी चीज़ें भी पता चलती है। The emergence of new dynasties. We can divide the period from AD 750 to AD 1200 into two parts. A. AD 750 AD 1000 B. AD 1000 AD 1200. The first phase was marked by the growth of three important political powers in India. These were Gujara Pratiharas in North India, Palas in East India and Rashtrakutas in South India. These powers were constantly fighting with each other with an aim to set up their control on Gangetic regions in North India. This armed conflict among these three powers is known as a tripartite struggle. In the second phase, we notice the breakup of these powers. It resulted in the rise of many smaller kingdoms all over the country. तो बच्चों 750 से 1200 AD के बीच का जो हिस्सा माना जाता है वो काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट हिस्सा माना जाता है क्योंकि इसमें थ्री जो पॉलिटिकल आपकी पावर्स थी वो ग्रोथ हुई थी, उनकी वो पावर में आई थी, ये आपस में लड़ते रहते थे। इनका नाम था बच्चों गुजारा, प्रतिहारा, पालाज एंड राष्ट्रकूटास। ये आपस में लड़ते रहते थे, क्यों? क्योंकि ये एक दूसरे का जो सत्ता थी या जो स्टेट था, जो एरिया था, वो ये कॉन्कर करना चाहते थे और अपने आप को पावरफुल घोषित करना चाहते थे। तो इनकी जो स्ट्रगल हुआ करती थी, जो लड़ाई हुआ करती थी, उसे ट्राइपार्टाइट स्ट्रगल भी कहा जाता था। Gujara Pratihara dynasty. The Gurjara Pratihara dynasty was founded by Nagabhatta first in the region of Malwa in the 18th century. Later, one of his successor, Vatsaraja, extended his rules over a large part of North India and made Kannauj in western Uttar Pradesh his capital. One of the important kings of this dynasty was Mihira Bhoja, 9th century. तो बच्चों पहले तो इसमें गुजारा प्रतिहारा डायनेस्टी जो कि नॉर्थ इंडिया में काफ़ी फैले हुए थे और नॉर्थ इंडिया का जो काफ़ी एरिया था, जो स्टेट था, वो इन्होंने कॉन्कर किया हुआ था। नाउ पाला डायनेस्टी. In eastern India, Pala dynasty was founded by Gopala 8th century as the names of the succeeding kings ended with Pala. This dynasty came to be known as the Pala dynasty. The Pala kings were the follower of Buddhism. They greatly promoted this religion by making monasteries, viharas and temples in eastern India. Dharmapala is known to have founded the famous Vikramshila University near Bhagalpur in Bihar. जो पाला किंग हुआ करते थे वो ईस्ट की तरफ जितना भी एरिया था वो उन्होंने ऑक्यूपाई किया हुआ था, कॉन्कर किया हुआ था। ये बुद्धिज़्म को फॉलो करते थे और उसी चक्कर में उन्होंने काफ़ी सारी मोनेस्ट्रीज वगैरह भी बनाई हुई थी। राष्ट्रकूटा डायनेस्टी. इन साउथ, Danting Durga was the founder of the dynasty called Rashtrakuta dynasty, 8th century. The capital of the Rashtrakuta was Manyakheta or Malkhed near Sholapur. One of the important kings of Rashtrakuta dynasty was Krishna. First, he built the famous Kailasha temple at Ellora near Aurangabad, Maharashtra. It is dedicated to Lord Shiva and is monolithic, i.e. made of one single piece of rock. तो बच्चों इसके बाद हम बात करते हैं राष्ट्रकूटास के बारे में। इन्होंने साउथ का जितना भी एरिया था वो इन्होंने कॉन्कर किया हुआ था और इनकी जो कैपिटल थी वो थी मैनखेता या फिर आप मालखेड़ भी कह सकते हो, जो कि नियर शोलापुर थी। इनके इम्पोर्टेंट जो किंग थे वो राष्ट्रकूटा के माने जाते थे कृष्णा वन, ठीक है। इन्होंने एक फेमस कैलाशा टेम्पल जो है वो एलोरा में बिल्ड किया था। Administration. The state structure in this period has often been described as decentralized political system. It is a system in which there is of course a king as the main authority at the top, but he shared his rule with other small chiefs called feudatories or the samanthas. The term samantha basically referred to king who has been defeated but his kingdom has been restored to him on the condition that he will continue to accept the lordship of the conquering king and also pay regular tribute to him in cash or kind. Another aspect of the decentralized policy was characterized by the practice of making land grants to Brahmanas and others. This practice was initiated by the Satavahanas kings in the 1st and 2nd century AD, but after the Gupta period it had become a normal practice all over the country. Kings often rewarded Brahmanas by grants of land. These were recorded on copper plates which were given to those who received the land. The land granted to the donee, receiver of grant, was tax-free, i.e. the donee did not pay any tax to the state and used to produce an income on it for his personal benefit. The donee was also free from any interference from his king or his officials in managing the land denoted to him. Thus, these donee converted the lands granted to them into independent island of authority with no or little central control. तो बच्चों इनके टाइम पे भी फ्यूडलिज्म जो था वो चरम सीमा पे था। राजा जो था उसके पास पूरा अधिकार नहीं था राज्य चलाने का, उसके नीचे छोटे छोटे चीफ्स हुआ करते थे जो उसकी हेल्प किया करते थे शासन करने में, तो वो टोटली उन पर डिपेंडेंट था और उन्हें वो इस चीज़ के लिए पे वगैरह किया करता था। Social and economic changes. The early medieval period was also marked by many social and economic changes. Socially, an important phenomenon of this period was the proliferation or increase in the number of castes. How did it happen? One of the reasons for it was the inclusion of newer groups into Brahmanical society. It is suggested that as the number of land grant increased, new areas were brought under cultivation. It made local tribal people leave hunting as their main profession and take up agriculture. They were then transformed into peasants and assimilated in the society as Shudras. The land grants in the fact resulted in the movement and migration of Brahmanas into different internal areas where they were able to introduce and enforce their Brahmanical social values. The land grants also led to the increase in the number of Kayastha class. The Kayasthas were basically scribes and they specialized in drafting and writing land grant documents. Naturally, with increase in the number of land grants, their importance also increased. Economically, the first phase, i.e. AD 750 to AD 1000 is believed to be one of decline. It is evident from the absence of coins for exchange and the decayed condition of towns in northern India. But in second phase after AD thousands we notice a revival of trade activities. Not only do we come across new gold coins, there are also numerous references to trade goods and towns. What could be the reason for it? There seems to be two main reasons for it. One, there was increase in agriculture activities on account of land grants in fresh areas. It led to surplus production of goods for exchange. And second, the Arab traders had emerged on the coastal areas of India as important players in international sea trade. The Arabs had acquired a foothold in Sindh in AD 712 and later gradually they set up their settlements all along the sea from Arabia to China. These settlements served as important channels for the sale and purchase of Indian goods and thus helped in the growth of Indian external trade in South India. The Chola kings maintained close commercial contact with Southeast Asia, Malaya, Indonesia, etc. and China. तो बच्चों सोसाइटी के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं कि सोसाइटी सोशल लाइफ कैसी हुआ करती थी उस टाइम पे और इकोनॉमिक चेंजेस क्या क्या आए। पहले जो ब्राह्मण्स हुआ करते थे उनका जो ओहदा था वो काफ़ी कुछ ऊपर माना जाता था और राजा वगैरह उनको क्या करते थे, पीस ऑफ लैंड जो था वो एज ए गिफ्ट दिया करते थे। फिर उसमें वो छोटे मोटे जो किसान हुआ करते थे उन्हें वो किराए पे रखा करते थे या उनको दिहाड़ी वगैरह पे रखा करते थे अपने खेत पे खेती करने के लिए। तो इस तरह से उनको पे वगैरह किया जाता था। समाज में काफ़ी छोटे छोटे जो शिल्पकार हुआ करते थे वो अपना गुजर बसर करते थे। उस टाइम पे कॉइन्स वगैरह का इंट्रोडक्शन नहीं हुआ था। जो राजा थे उन्हीं के पास गोल्ड कॉइन्स वगैरह हुआ करते थे, असरफीज वगैरह हुआ करती थी जो वो रिवॉर्ड में या गिफ्ट में दिया करते थे। धीरे धीरे जब ट्रेड वगैरह स्टार्ट हुआ तो कॉइन्स वगैरह का चलन भी चलने लगा। नहीं तो पहले के ज़माने के लोग क्या किया करते थे, वस्तु विनिमय किया करते थे, एक वस्तु दे के दूसरी वस्तु वो लोग लिया करते थे। तो जैसे ट्रेड वगैरह स्टार्ट हुआ, व्यापार वगैरह स्टार्ट हुआ तो धीरे धीरे पैसे वगैरह का उन्हें नॉलेज, जो कॉइन्स वगैरह की नॉलेज है वो बढ़ने लगी। कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट्स। The new regional kingdoms led to the emergence of new regional cultural zones such as Bengal and Odisha in the north, Gujarat and Maharashtra in central India, as well as Andhra, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu in the south. The literary works in the regional languages were often composed under the patronage of the new regional rulers. A famous work composed in the regional language around this time under the Cholas was Tamil version of Ramayana composed by Kamban. Similarly, in Karnataka, Pampa, who is regarded as one of the jewels of Kannada literature, composed Vikramarjuna Vijaya, known popularly as Pampa Bharat in Kannada. In Andhra region, Naniya translated some portions of Mahabharata in Telugu. It was later completed by poet Tikna in the 13th century. However, Sanskrit still retained a position of important among the elites as a language of learning. Important works composed in Sanskrit around this period were the Katha Sarit Sagara, a collection of stories, the Rajatarangini, a vivid account of kings of Kashmir composed by Kalhana, and the Gita Govinda, a piece of devotional literature composed on the theme of love between Radha and Krishna by Jayadeva in Bengal under the Pala kings. Another activity that receives royal patronage was that of temple building. The three types of temple architecture which evolved during the period are known as the Nagara, Dravida and Vishara mixed style during this period. The characteristic feature of Nagara styles of temple was the lofty tower or spire called the Shikara. Temples built in this style were spread over large part of northern India, particularly in central India, Gujarat, Rajasthan and Orissa. Some of the outstanding examples of this style are the Lingaraja temple at Bhubaneswar, the Sun temple at Konark and the Kandariya Mahadev temple built by the Chandela kings of Khajuraho. तो बच्चों उस टाइम के कल्चरल डेवलपमेंट के बारे में हम लोग जानते हैं। उस टाइम पे संस्कृत जो लैंग्वेज थी वो मेन लैंग्वेज मानी जाती थी। लोग लिखा करते थे, संस्कृत लैंग्वेज में लिखा करते थे। पोइट्स वगैरह, पोइट्री वगैरह, जो स्टोरीज वगैरह होती थी वो संस्कृत में ही लिखा करती थी। तो जो तमिल के कुछ राइटर्स थे उन्होंने क्या किया था, जो महाभारत हुआ करती थी, रामायण हुआ करती थी, उन्होंने उसे धीरे धीरे अपनी लैंग्वेज में ट्रांसलेट करना शुरू कर दिया था। अब जैसे मंदिर वगैरह में आप देखते थे, पहले मंदिरों में शिल्पकारी इस तरह से की जाती थी, वहाँ पे चैंटिंग्स वगैरह लिखी जाती थी, वहाँ पे मंत्र वगैरह लिखे जाते थे। इवन पिलर्स वगैरह जो रूफ वगैरह हुआ करती थी उस पर भी वो लोग लिखा करते थे, कुछ ना कुछ इंस्क्रिप्शन वहाँ पे हुआ करती थी। The Dravida style of architecture is found in South India. Some of the important characteristics of this style are the Garbhagriha, the Vimanas, the Mandapa and the Goparams. The Vimanas are the various stories built at the top of Garbhagriha. The Mandapa was a hall with numerous carved pillars placed before the Garbhagriha. The Gopurams were the lofty gates along the high walls that enclosed the entire temple complex. An important example of this style is the Brihadeshwara temple built by Chola king Rajaraja at Tanjore. The Vishara temples represented a mixed style. These were mostly built under the patronage of the Chalukyas, are found at Pattadakal near Badami, Karnataka. There was also great improvement in the art of making sculpture in this period. An important contribution of Chola artists in this respect were the bronze image of Nataraja. These images represent Shiva in his cosmic dance and are unmatched in their rhythm and balance. तो बच्चों उस टाइम के मंदिर के बारे में बताया गया कि टेम्पल्स वगैरह कैसे हुआ करते थे। एक बड़ा सा हॉल हुआ करता था जहाँ पे मूर्ति को स्थापित किया जाता था, वो गर्भगृह जो है वो माना जाता था। मंदिर के बाहर एक बहुत बड़ा खुला ग्राउंड हुआ करता था, एरिया हुआ करता था जहाँ पे हवन वगैरह किया जाते थे, मंडप वगैरह लगा करता था। ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे काफ़ी बिल्डिंग्स वगैरह, पिलर्स वगैरह भी बनाए गए थे, मंदिर वगैरह का निर्माण हुआ था और साथ ही साथ जो नटराज आपने जो मूर्ति देखी है भगवान शिव की, वो भी इसी टाइम की बनी हुई है। Contact with Southeast Asia. The Southeast contact was largely on account of trade. Southeast Asia is rich in cardamom, sandalwood, camphor, cloves, etc., which formed important items trade between India and the West. Initially, the Indian traders appear to have settled along the coast, but gradually they shifted their network to the interior. Along with the traders came the priests, particularly the Buddhists and Brahmanas, to meet the ritual requirements of the Indian settlers. It thus created a situation for the spread of Indian social and cultural ideas in Southeast Asia. But it must be noted that Indian contact did not uproot the local culture. It was rather a case of peaceful intermixing of Indian concept with the local culture feature. Therefore, for example, while Sanskrit was accepted as a language of court and religions in Southeast Asia, the regional language continued to be used side by side, and we find many inscriptions in mixed Sanskrit and local language. Similarly, the concept of Varna was known to the Southeast Asians, and Brahmanas were respected in society, but social division were not rigid as it was in India. तो बच्चों जब ट्रेड बढ़ा तो ट्रेड की वजह से सामान वगैरह का आदान प्रदान तो होता ही था, साथ के साथ जो लैंग्वेज वगैरह होती थी, जो उनके सामाजिक जितने भी उनके विचार होते थे, जितने भी उनके नियम वगैरह होते थे, नीतिज होते थे, उनका भी आदान प्रदान होने लगा था. The most important empire which came to founded in Southeast Asia in the 8th century AD was the Shailendra Empire. It composed Java, Sumatra, Malay Peninsula and other parts of the Southeast Asian region. They were a leading naval power and on account of their geographical position controlled the trade between China and India as well as other countries in the West. The Shailendra king were the follower of Buddhism and had close contact with the Indian rulers. One of the king of this empire built a monastery at Nalanda in the 9th century, and at this request the Pala king Devpala of Bengal granted 5 villages for its upkeep. Similarly, in the 11th century, another king was permitted by the Chola king Raja I to build a Buddhist monastery at Nagapattinam on the Tamil coast. The Shailendra also built a beautiful temple dedicated to Buddha at Barabadur in Java. It is situated on the top of hillock and consists of 9 gradually descending terraces. तो बच्चों यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि शैलेंद्र जो थे उन्होंने बुद्ध जो कम्युनिटी थी, बुद्ध जो धर्म था उसको प्रचार प्रसार करने में उन्होंने काफ़ी हेल्प की थी, ठीक है, और आगे जो उनकी पीढ़ियाँ थी उनको भी उन्होंने प्रेरित किया कि वो मोनेस्ट्रीज वगैरह का निर्माण करें और ये जो उनके अनुयायी हैं उनको एक तरह से क्या मिल सके, एक शरण मिल सके, एक उनको आश्रय मिल सके और इस तरीके से वो अपने जो बुद्ध धर्म का प्रचार है वो और अच्छे से कर सके. Besides Buddhism, the worship of Hindu gods such as Vishnu and Shiva was also quite popular in Southeast Asia. The temples dedicated to them have been found at various places. They show distinct traces of Indian influence and inspiration. One of the most famous temples dedicated to Vishnu is Angar Kot Wad, a temple built in the 12th century by Surya Varman II, the king of Cambodia. It is surrounded by a moat filled with water. It has a huge Gopuram gateway and a number of galleries, the wall of which are decorated with sculptures based on themes drawn from Mahabharata and Ramayana. बुद्धिज्म के बिसाइड जो विष्णु धर्म को मानने वाले या विष्णु भगवान को मानने वाले, शिव को मानने वाले बहुत सारे अनुयायी थे और बहुत सारे जो किंग्स थे वो विष्णु की पूजा किया करते थे। इस रीजन से उन्होंने काफ़ी सारे मंदिर वगैरह का भी निर्माण किया था। Born out of the clash of two religions, Bhakti movement that first emerged in the south was born out of the clash of two ideologies, Nayanars and Mayanars, the wandering saints. In the later medieval periods, the Bhakti movement that spread to the north was born out of the clash of two religions, Hinduism and Islam. By the 11th century, Islam had already become a major force and it had started influencing thinkers and philosophers from all walks of life. Gita Govinda, the cowherd song by Jaydev in the 12th century, was influenced by the clash of these two religions. Written in Sanskrit, it is based on the exploit of Radha and Krishna. In the 15th century, the inspired cult of Radha Krishna followers. In the excerpt from the book, the writer beckons, "Speak to her of my dissolution in separation from her. Cool moon rays scorch him, threatening death. Love's arrow falls and he laments his weakness. Wildflower garlanded, Krishna suffers in your desertion, friend." Study the above passage carefully and answer the question below. Do you see any link between social and religious process? What such a link you find in above एक्सपर्ट्स फ्रॉम गीता गोविंदा। अब उस टाइम पे इस्लाम धर्म का प्रचार प्रसार काफ़ी बढ़ चुका था और हिंदू भी भारत में थे, मतलब हिंदू धर्म भी लोग काफ़ी मानते थे, तो दोनों धर्मों के बीच डिस्प्यूट होना शुरू हो गया था। काफ़ी लोग इस्लाम को मानने के लिए बोलते थे और काफ़ी लोग जो थे वो हिंदू धर्म को मानने के लिए बोलते थे। तो इस चक्कर में जो हिंदू मुस्लिम थे वो आपस में लड़ते रहते थे। Hindu society as seen by a foreign traveler. Al-Biruni, who had accompanied Mahmud of Ghazni to India, was a keen observer of the people and society. He was a close friend of Ibn Sina, Avicenna or Ibn Rashid, who we have described earlier. Al-Biruni was a great scholar, a mathematician and an astronomer. He already knew languages like Greek, Persian, Arabic, and once in India he also learned Sanskrit and some other regional languages. He wrote the book Tarikh-e-Hind, Chronicle of India. In this book he described the many faces of India, especially of its people and their customs. His account gives us a rare glimpse of the many faces of Indian society then. He was especially amused by some social customs like a Hindu woman not marrying after the death of her husband. अब हिंदू सोसाइटी कैसी थी ये फॉरेन ट्रैवलर्स के थ्रू हमें देखने को मिलता है। फॉरेन ट्रैवलर्स जो थे वो इंडिया में आए थे, उन्होंने इंडिया में वो पढ़ने आया करते थे या व्यापार करने आया करते थे या यहाँ की लैंग्वेज सीखने आते थे, तो वो यहीं कुछ सालों के लिए बस जाते थे और यहाँ के तौर तरीके, यहाँ के धर्म के बारे में वो सीखते थे। साथ ही साथ वो अपनी बुक्स वगैरह में भी यहाँ की नीतियों के बारे में, समाज के बारे में फैली जो कुरीतियाँ हुआ करती थी उनको भी वो मैंशन किया करते थे। केस स्टडी द चोला किंगडम, अ क्लोजर लुक। In South India, the Chola kings founded a mighty empire during AD 1000 to AD 1200. The relationship between these Cholas, called the Imperial Cholas, with the earlier Cholas mentioned in the Sangam literature is not clear. The Cholas came to power after overthrowing the authority of the Pallavas in South India. The founder of the Chola dynasty was Vijayalaya, 9th century AD, but the real architects of the glory of the dynasty were Raja first, AD 1985 to AD 1014, and his son Rajendra first, AD 1014 to AD 1044. During the heyday of the Chola Empire, it extended from our Tungabhadra in north to Kanyakumari in south. The Chola kings made a successful use of their navy and conquered not only Maldives and Lakshadweep Islands but also Sri Lanka. They also defeated the kings of Malaya and Java and Sumatra. One of the greatest contributions of Raja Raja I was the construction of the famous temple known as Raja Rajeshwara or Brideshwara temple dedicated to Shiva at Tanjore. He also ordered a survey of land for better collection of land revenue in his empire. The rule of his son Rajendra I was even more dazzling. He carried his arms up to Ganga in Bengal after defeating the Pala kings. Mahipala. To commemorate these victory, he founded a new capital called Gangaikonda Cholapuram and acquired for himself the title Gangaikonda, conqueror of Ganga. He was a great patron of learning and was known as Pandita Chola. The last important Chola king was Kolotunga, AD 1070 to AD 1122. Under him, the Chola Empire started disintegrating and shrunk to much smaller area. In the Chola kingdom, the structure of administration was slightly different. Here at the village level, a great amount of autonomy was enjoyed by the local people. They looked after their administration with the help of self-elected local bodies. Two types of village assemblies are mentioned in the records. These were known as Sabha and Ur Sabha was the assembly in the villages which were inhabited predominantly by the Brahmanas, where Ur was in the non-Brahminical settlement. These assemblies looked after the local public works, tax collection, temple management, etc. with the help of the members elected through a procedure set by the villagers. It was a unique feature of the Chola administration as it represented a harmonious balance between the central authority and the local self-government. तो बच्चों यहाँ पे केस स्टडी कर लेते हैं हम लोग चोला किंगडम के बारे में। साउथ इंडिया में चोला किंगडम जो था वो फाउंड किया गया था ड्यूरिंग AD 1000 टू AD 1200। ठीक है, इनके बीच का जो रिलेशनशिप था वो इम्पीरियल चोलाज माना जाता है और जो चोलाज थे वो पावर में आए थे ओवरथ्रोइंग द अथॉरिटी ऑफ पालवाज इन साउथ इंडिया। मतलब इन्होंने पालवास को हराया था, फिर ये लोग शासन में बैठे थे। जो फाउंडर माने जाते हैं चोला डायनेस्टी के वो विजालिया माना जाते हैं। उसको उनके बाद सक्सीड किया गया था राजा राजा फर्स्ट के थ्रू। इसके बाद उनके जो सन थे राजा राजेंद्र फर्स्ट वो गद्दी पे बैठे थे। ठीक है, इन्होंने काफ़ी सारे मंदिरों का भी निर्माण किया जैसे कि राजा राजेश्वरा और बृहदेश्वरा टेम्पल जो कि शिव को डेडिकेट किया है। ठीक है, और इन्होंने अपने राज्य में काफ़ी सारी नीतियों को भी चेंज किया था और साथ ही साथ जो इनके एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हुआ करता था वो भी काफ़ी पावरफुल माना जाता था। विलेज लेवल पे जो ग्रेट अमाउंट ऑफ ऑटोनॉमी थी वो देखने को मिलती थी और जो पीपल थे वो एंजॉय इसे किया करते थे। जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन होता था वो लुक आफ्टर किया जाता था सेल्फ इलेक्टेड बॉडीज़ के ही थ्रू। यहाँ पे टू टाइप्स ऑफ विलेज असेंबली हुआ करती थी जो कि हमें रिकॉर्ड में देखने को मिलती है। ये थी आपकी सभा और उर सभा। सभा जो थी वो डोमिनेट की जाती थी ब्राह्मण्स के थ्रू और जो उर सभा होती थी उसके अंडर नॉन ब्राह्मणिकल सेटलमेंट्स आते थे। कीवर्ड्स: tripartite struggle, threefold struggle as among Pandyas, Pallavas and Cholas. Apa Brahmasa local dialect. Polygamy to marry more than one woman. Let's recapitulate. Dharmapala is known to have founded the famous Vikramshila University near Bhagalpur in Bihar. The capital of Rashtrakuta was Manyakheta and Malkhed near Sholapur. A famous work composed in the regional language around this time under the Cholas was the Tamil version of Ramayana composed by Kamban. The characteristic feature of the Nagara style of temples was the lofty tower or spiral called the Shikara. The Gopurams were the lofty gates along the high walls that enclosed the entire temple complex. One of the greatest contribution of Raja first was the construction of the famous temple known as Rajeshwara or Brideshwara temple dedicated to Shiva at Tanjore. So children, I hope you understood the chapter very well. Now you can revise the chapter and practice the given exercise by yourself.